This lawyer doesn't want to go to trial, so then he allegedly murders his own client. Now his name's Gregory, and Gregory's 39, he's a divorce attorney living in Ohio, and I don't know if he doesn't like being a lawyer or if he just has too many cases, but he is notorious for delaying his trials when he isn't prepared to go to them. Like, he'll make up excuses, he'll call in sick, he'll fake illnesses. One time he even stages a car crash to get out of going, but then he does something really crazy. One day in 2012, he wants to avoid a trial, so on the day he's supposed to be there, he calls in a bomb threat to the courthouse. And I guess it works, like it causes a bunch of panic and the whole place shuts down while police investigate and his court date gets pushed back. And Gregory's like, hell yeah, that worked! And so he does it a few more times. Like, he doesn't want to go to a hearing on a certain day, so he'll just call in a bomb threat and his trial will be delayed. Now eventually, police catch on to what he's doing. I imagine it's because all these bomb threats are coincidentally happening on days that he's scheduled to be in court. And so they start investigating him, and he has to not only stop these shenanigans, but he has to come up with a new way to delay his trials. In this case, potentially murder someone. Now, let's pause this story for a second because I want to talk about this woman, Aliza. And Aliza's 53, she's a nurse, also living in Ohio. And Aliza has a big problem. Her marriage just isn't working out. So in 2011, she and her husband decide to part ways and get a divorce. And to represent her in this divorce, she ends up with a divorce attorney, Mr. Bomb Threat himself, Gregory. And fast forward to 2 years later. It's now 2013. And Aliza's divorce is still going on and her hearing is coming up. And you know how Gregory is never prepared for his trials, so he'll go to great lengths to delay them? Well, he wants to delay this one too. And while he can't do bomb threats anymore because he's still under investigation, he's gonna try other ways. Like, he files motions and all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately for him, none of that works. The trial is still happening as scheduled. So he's gotta try something different. And this is where shit starts to get dark. Because a day before the trial, he sends Aliza a text, and he says he wants to meet at his law offices to discuss her case. And so now we're getting into the part of the story that is alleged, because Gregory hasn't actually been to trial yet, so this is just what they're accusing him of. So, allegedly, about an hour after Gregory texts Aliza, he shows up to the law office building, and he goes to the front door, and he swipes his access card to get in. But he doesn't actually go into the building, he's just creating an alibi for himself. Instead, he disconnects his phone from his cell network, so his whereabouts won't be able to be tracked later. Then, allegedly, he changes into some different clothes, all black, so that he's covered up. And he hides out of sight and he waits for Aliza to arrive. About an hour later, she pulls up and she walks up to the building and the doors are locked, and I guess she tries to push the call buttons or whatever, but no one lets her in. So she texts Gregory I'm here waiting, but then she gets back into her car to wait because, it's cold out. Then somehow Gregory texts her back. Now it's speculated he used a hotspot, but he texts her back saying the doors are open and she can go in. So she heads back to the building, and as she's walking along, suddenly, boom, Gregory jumps out of nowhere, and he's got a knife. And Aliza screams, and she breaks out and runs away, but he starts chasing her, and he's faster than her. So then, bam, he catches her, and he stabs her again and again and again, and he ends up stabbing her 11 times. Then he runs away, and you can see him, allegedly him, here on surveillance footage fleeing the scene. And here, the same thing, but from a different angle. Then, a few minutes later, Gregory, wherever he is, he starts texting her again, hey, where are you? Are you gonna show? I'm here at the office waiting. Again, he's trying to create an alibi for himself, and he's trying to make it look like he has no idea that she was just stabbed. Now, pretty quickly, police show up, and the place is swarming with cops, and they're all looking for whoever attacked Aliza. And so Gregory, he needs to get back into the law office building to make it look like he's been waiting there the whole time for Aliza to show up. So he sneaks back in through a back entrance, and he goes into his office, and he chills there. Meanwhile, Aliza is rushed to the hospital, but unfortunately, she doesn't make it.
Lee, Cleveland police are still looking for any evidence or surveillance video that could help them crack this case.
And of course, this means she can't make her divorce hearing, and since his client is now a no-show, Gregory's trial gets delayed just like he had planned. While at the same time, police are investigating Aliza's murder. And of course, they question Gregory as he was the last one to speak to her that day. And in their questioning, they catch him lying about his whereabouts during the time of the murder, which makes him look really suspicious. And so they start thinking, maybe this guy had something to do with it. But they don't have enough direct evidence to charge him with anything. And 3 years go by, and it's now 2016. And they're still investigating this murder, and they still think Gregory was involved. And by this point, they've put 2 and 2 together. I mean, he used to call in bomb threats to delay his own court hearings, so maybe it's not a stretch that he would murder someone to delay a court hearing. However, they don't have enough evidence to convict him or even charge him. So they eventually, just to get him on something, they charge him with providing false information to the police since he lied about his whereabouts during the murder. And they also finally charge him for all those bomb threats he was making back in 2012. And that's enough to get him, so bam, they arrest him. And he takes a plea deal and he gets sentenced to 6 months in jail, and he loses his law license and he can no longer be a lawyer. Which sucks for him, but at least it was only 6 months and they never actually charged him with unaliving Aliza. Until years go by and it's now 2021. And Gregory has long been out of jail. I assume he's off living his normal life, minding his own business, and he's living in Texas now. However, the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation gets a hold of better technology and better forensics. And so they start looking into old cold cases to see if maybe they can solve some of them. And they get into Aliza's case, and of course, Gregory becomes their #1 suspect. So they start going through all the old files and all the evidence, and they spend thousands of hours on this. And when they're done, they feel like they've got more than enough to finally charge Gregory with Aliza's murder.
He lied to the police, he hid evidence from the police, and he has lived for 12 years amongst us with everyone believing the husband did this, and that's not true.
And so, U.S. Marshals go to Texas, and bam, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot.
We're told he's facing 6 counts of murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and 1 count each of aggravated murder and conspiracy.
Now, keep in mind, as I said, this hasn't actually gone to trial yet, so him being connected to the murder is still alleged. Although, things aren't really looking good for him right now.
Greg Moore is reckless, unpredictable, and capable of taking extreme measures to fulfill his evil agenda.
And a huge shout out to Leonardo.ai for sponsoring this video. If you make videos and you want to make really badass art for those videos, like this, or like this, like look at how cool that is. Sign up for Leonardo.ai.